Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to you. My name is Nick and welcome to the weekly vlogs. Hope you've enjoyed the content going up on the channel recently. We've upped it a little bit and we'll continue to do so, and hopefully I'm getting the lighting of these a bit better as well. So yes, it's all nice and relaxed here. It's all about easing stress, having a bit of a conversation, which hopefully that comes across. So we're on to Friday. Hooray, hooray, hooray. On Saturday there'll be the usual couple of ZX Spectrum games going up to show them a bit of love, share them if you can to help grow the channel, and Sunday they'll be on the Commodore Amiga as well. So in having a look at a few news stories in the following week that, this week that have caught my eye. So we'll start off with retro gaming, because that's what this channel is primarily about. Now, there's been a lot of computer systems come through, or new consoles in the last few years, feeding off the popularity of retro gaming. There's the PlayStation Mini, the Sega Mini, I think there's a Commodore 64 Mini, and all things like that. Now, I can understand that. That makes good sense, doesn't it? Because there's nostalgia. People, the Mini NES as well, people want a smaller version of that, which they can plug in, and it transports them to a time of their early childhood. Now you can do that with normal PC emulation, but to have a miniature version of that system sitting next to you that you had back in the day adds that extra dynamics. That's brilliant. Not as good as the original hardware, but it's, you know, it's a good substitute there. So why would you bring back a handheld, a smaller version of a handheld? You wouldn't, would you? That made no sense at all. So that brings me to what Sega have done. Now, to mark their 60th anniversary coming up, they've announced the release of the Game Gear Micro. Yes, so the Game Gear was a system, which I've written down here, come out in the early 90s. And it was a popular handheld system. It's not a system I've covered on the channel so far, but it's something that I might drop into. Now, a handheld is a handheld. You don't need to make that any smaller. Why would you make it any smaller? A handheld is designed primarily to be held in the hand. Now, the Game Gear Micro is going to be selling for about $50 to $60, I think, which isn't too far off the Sega Mini anyway. You can hold in the palm of your hand. Now, the screen size on this, get this, the screen size of this is 1.15 inches. Why would you bring out a game where you can only see an inch screen about 1.5 or 1.15 inches? Now, I was a big fan of the Game Boy Advance back in the day, and the screen wasn't huge on that, but at least you could see what you was doing. Then later I had the PS Vita, which didn't take off quite as well. So when you look at handhelds now, it's all about the Nintendo Switch. So that's the competition at the moment. Why would you bring back a mini version of a handheld from the early 90s? It maketh no sense whatsoever. Now, you can imagine a game, I'll put up some pictures of it if I haven't already. You can imagine a game where you got to read some text on the screen, and it's not good for your eyesight, it's not good for long-term playability, and I just don't understand it at all. If you're going to mark something for the 60th year anniversary you've been in business, why maybe bring out a game or something else, but maybe this is the only thing they had left to actually work with. I mean, what do you think about that? Are you going to buy such a device? And the problem with it being so small, I'm one of these people that when they're just about to go out, I might put my put my door keys down and not be able to find where I've put them. How often are you going to lose a device that you can fit in the palm of your hand? I mean, absolutely weird. I mean, if you want a retro experience from those old Game Gear things, there is emulation, of course, or the original Game Gear. Why didn't they just re-release an improved version of the Game Gear the same size as the handheld for the same price? That would have been much better, and then geared it towards, separate from the Nintendo Switch, geared it as primarily a retro gaming device to play the old games. They're coming back. Not the size of a postage stamp. I mean, when you look at retro gaming, you're going to appeal to the people that grew up in that sort of like era, first of all. And also as well, you've got the secondary market of new people to gaming and want something a bit straightforward, younger people. And if you've got something that fits well in their hand they can use, great. Something the size of a key ring is just not going to work whatsoever. So that's perplexed me a bit. It's going to come in 4 colours for what that means: black, blue, red and yellow. Absolutely pointless device. So it'll be interesting to see what the reviews of that are going to be when it comes out, or if it actually takes flight at all. Now, last week I mentioned there my excitement of SpaceX, run by Elon Musk, because they were planning to launch into space to go to the International Space Station, the first ever commercial flight. Now, that's a historic moment because it marks, well, basically the future of space exploration, because as soon as you got commercial companies involved competing with each other, then things really accelerate in terms of speed, because it's all about money. Then you get asteroid mining, you get colonies on Mars, you get things buzzing around the planets of the moons of Jupiter and Saturn. It really accelerates massively. So until commercial comes in, it's going to be super slow. Now, last week I was getting excited about the launch from SpaceX, the first commercial flight. It was supposed to be on Thursday, then got delayed to Saturday. You might have been the same. I was watching it live on YouTube for the Saturday launch, and also on Twitter as well. So always a bit nervous. I was watching the comments go up as well, and the odd idiot in there saying it was going to explode and all that sort of thing. They're idiots, those people. So it's all a bit nervy, because never before has there been a time where film is on it the whole 24 hours, even when it's taking off, through on Twitter, a 24-hour feed. Fortunately, it took off, and it was absolutely glorious. You might not be into space as much as I am, but I really enjoyed it. And a few people I was speaking to on Twitter, they was watching it as well, and it's absolutely magnificent. It took off without any hitches. The two astronauts on there, which I've written down somewhere. It was Bob. Oh my God, I haven't written them down. I should have written them down there. Anyway, it took off without a hitch. And then the next day they rendezvoused at the International Space Station. Bob Behnken, there it is, I've got it, and Douglas Hurley, well done to them. Their names will go down in history. It was the first launch in 10 years from there. And as far as I'm aware, I think they're on the International Space Station at the moment. So that really makes me happy. In a time where we've got uncertainty in the world, rioting as well in parts of the USA, which I won't go into because it's not that kind of a political channel. I don't want to stir up things there. To see humankind go into space in a positive way again, and where we can go in the future, it made me really happy. So it's much better news than the Game Gear Micro, which make of no sense whatsoever. Now, I'm a big fan of Formula One. My adopted team is McLaren because, I like looking at them back in the day. Ayrton Senna, Alain Prost, Mika Hakkinen as well, all being world champions. They're in a bit of a dip at the moment. And back in that time when I first started getting into Formula One, the early 90s, the Williams team was all dominant. I had this car at Symes, Nigel Mansell's season in 92, was about 2 seconds a lap quicker. Now, Formula One is in a bit of disarray at the moment due to the coronavirus, as all sports are. It's a sport which is rather dependent on sponsorship and prize money, so no money's been coming in whatsoever. Now, with the Williams team, they were leading the grid in the early 90s, and over the last few seasons, it's been a bit disappointing, and they've dropped right back to the back of the grid, essentially. And it's been a bit of disappointing. Frank Williams is no longer in charge of that. And they've also, because they've been in racing, they've been in financial problems. And the sad news is, recently, after making a £13 million loss the previous season, the team's been put up for sale. Now, they say it's just a restructuring of the team and just getting more money in. But they still say they're going to compete in the 2020 season when it gets back up to date with drivers. George Russell has been fantastic last season, and there's rumours that there might be a seat for him at Mercedes, but we don't really know. And Nicholas Latifi as well. So hopefully that happens. I don't want the team to drop out midway through the season. It used to be a point in the early 90s where the finances were doable for a lot of teams, that you'd have more cars competing than there was grid positions. I think there's 26 grid positions. I think at some point there was about 32 cars. Now we've dropped right down, so there's less. So everyone's going to actually qualify. It'd be a shame to lose Williams. Hopefully they can keep going. But, a £30 million loss last season, quite clearly that isn't a sustainable thing, so we'll have to see what happens. McLaren are making inroads going forward. Carlos Sainz has made a good first few seasons in McLaren. He's now gone over to Ferrari, and they've got Daniel Ricciardo, which I'm a big fan of Daniel Ricciardo, so we'll see how McLaren steps forward. But hopefully Williams can save it. I think racing is starting back in July, so drivers are going to be very, very rusty at that point, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. You might have been watching it on the esports. They've been doing lots of esports there too. I think on Sunday, if you look at Formula One's YouTube channel or F1.com, they are actually going to televise, I think it's the Azerbaijan Virtual Grand Prix. There's a lot of real drivers taking part in that on gaming rigs. I think Lando Norris might be there, Charles Leclerc, his brother Arthur, and I think Sergio Perez is in there, and a few others too. So watch that if you can do, if you're into Formula One, and that would be good. But you know, I think George Russell was there too, mentioning for Williams. So we'll come to a few shout outs now on the channel. We're trying to get revenue in so I can do this more regularly and improve it. As you notice, there's quite a lot of content going up at the moment, which would be good to sort of like maintain that. Thank you to everyone that's become a member of the channel or bought me a coffee by Ko-Fi. That really, really helps. I'm going to give shout outs to people on the second tier of the memberships. The base tier on the bus starts at $1.99. It isn't a lot each month, but it does actually help me. I've had enough people there, then we're looking good and the stress will be off. The second tier is $4.99, where you get a few other benefits as well. So I'm only going to give a shout out to the people on the second tier, but I respect everyone on every tier that you can actually do that. I really respect it there, and also in these troubling times. There's an upper tier, don't expect anyone to do that, but if you did do it, only if you're rich, I suppose, that would really, really help me out. So the shout outs going then to on the second tier. Sorry I've pronounced this wrong, Graham. The first one is Graham W. Wubich. Is that your name? Workpig? I'll just call you Graham, thank you. Well, you can correct me in the comment section if you want. So thank you. I think you sent me a message on Twitter as well about that, so thank you. The amazing Pum Pum Ridder, thank you very much as well for your support and all your really cool comments. Thank you, love having you aboard. Stuart Clegg, thank you, sir, very impressive. I'll talk to you on Twitter as well. Jason Holmes, so you know, going good, enough of you there. Andrew Gibson, thank you, always appreciate your comments, sir, and what you can contribute there. And Tom also, it's different from his channel name, but likes to be called Tom. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 of you on that second tier. There's quite a few of you on the first tier as well. Hopefully we can build these numbers. Hasn't really been picking up as much as I would have liked, but there we go. All the videos are going to be free anyway for as long as I can do it for. If we get the support in, then I'll be able to maintain this sort of level. So hooray, hooray, hooray. So I just got one last thing to cover, and it's about the live streaming that we've been doing. Now last Sunday I had a bit of a test, but I tried to go at 720p, and apparently that was stuttering. You couldn't hear me. The video got marked down quite a lot because I thought it was recording, but it wasn't. I've since deleted that. But it was a strong learning process, and I jumped back in on the Monday, and you could hear me then, and there was no lag on the video. We went to 360p, which might seem quite low, but it's adequate for the ZX Spectrum. You can't see my face talking in there because that's too much for the quality. It worked out quite well. We had a good conversation. A lot of you jumped in. At some point I think we had about 25 people in there, and that was fine. I learned a bit. We went for about 56 minutes there. And then unplanned, I went in on Tuesday as well. Well, I did schedule that one actually. We got off to a bit of a rough start when it wouldn't work my side, but you was very patient there. I think 5-6 minutes in, I was back with you. We played quite a few games. We had a good chat. We sorted out the sounds, and that was really, really well. So I'm going to schedule for Monday, if I haven't already at the time of this. Schedule in. We'll do Monday at 6:30. We might go for a couple of hours rather than 1 hour to give people a chance that are late to the channel or only get home from work. If you're going out and coming back again, can catch the back end of it. So we might go for 2 hours. We'll play a big range of Spectrum games. We might have more of a chill out and questions sort of like thing in there too. And all going well, we'll have a go on Tuesday as well. So have a look in there also. Okie doke. So, bit of live streaming for you now. Yes, I've just got to check over there. I'll be back in a minute. You'll find out why in a moment.
I'm Batman. Oh, I got a live one here.
Right, I'm back. I won't edit that because it's all about walks and all. I thought I had a technical problem. The screen went off doing the recording, but we're absolutely fine. So, excellent. Hope you had a good week there. We covered a few things, didn't we there? We had a Game Gear Micro, which is a hopeless console. I mean, a hopeless handheld and a rubbish idea. I mean, if you've got any views about that, put them in the comment section below what you think. SpaceX, the future of space travel, brilliant. Who knows? We might be all in space in a few years' time if the world hasn't blown up. That's fun, isn't it? Formula 1, Williams, are they going to survive? Hopefully they do with this sale where they do out the season. Big shout out to everyone supporting the channel, so thank you very much. And live streaming, we will pick back up on that Monday and Tuesday. Debating whether to do a third one if time permits. So if you can do, if you're not doing already, please share the channel, tell your friends, tell everyone, put it in forums here, because I think it can support a much greater audience. I've got the confidence to do that now. I think I know what to bring to the party. It's just getting, with the competition around with the millions of other channels, it's just getting the word out there as well. So thank you once again for listening and your comments below and joining in. That's what it's all about. Trying to ease stress and all those sort of things, and you know, don't sweat the small stuff. So I've been Nick, you've been you, and until next time, take great care of yourself and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.
And Jenkin.